Roccia is still a horrible pull in my opinion, and today I aim to tell you why that is. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Okay, first of all, I should start off this video by being fair. Compared to her first banner, yes, Roccia does in fact have more value than before. This is because not long after Roccia came out, we got Whimpering Wastes added as a game mode. And Roccia absolutely excels in that game mode. Her grouping is amazing, her AoE capabilities are fantastic, and she is all around one of the best characters that you can use there. This isn't even mentioning the fact that she was designed to work alongside Camellia, a character who is naturally very strong in Whimpering Wastes as well, considering how the Crazy Lady's red hair mode absolutely mows down enemy Wuthering Waves. Genuinely, putting those two together is gonna net you some of the most insane Whimpering Waste scores imaginable. So whereas before, you didn't really have that much reason to get her because she was extremely comparable to Sanhua and TOA, at least now you're able to justify getting her in order to access the strongest Whimpering Wastes Camellia team available. Absolution Phoebe has also become a thing since Roccia's release, so if you really want to use Sanhua with her, but you also want to play Camellia and TOA, well then that makes your life easier, because you're able to pair Roccia with Camellia, and then use Sanhua with your Phoebe. Or you could just use more Tefi with your Phoebe and continue to use Sanhua anyways, which would be a much more efficient use of your resources, but hey, it's still something that happened, so I'm gonna mention it. Okay, that is basically everything I can say in regards to what is improved about Roccia's pull value. Now it is time to completely tear this character apart, because even with Whimpering Wastes in the game, I do not advise that you pull for Roccia, under any circumstances to be honest. For starters, yes, she is great in Whimpering Wastes. She really is a great Camellia teammate there. See the problem? Camellia doesn't really need a dedicated wuwa support in order to clear wuwa. She's already one of the best possible DPSs that you can use in that game mode, considering how she literally has a mode in her kit that is perfect for taking on wuwa's content. You shouldn't be struggling with that game mode so much to the point where you feel like you need to pull for Roccia in order to make Camellia's wuwa clears feel satisfying. And mind you, I am not just talking about simply clearing. Your Camellia should be utterly dominating Whimpering Wastes without any need for external help. You will be just fine using a Sanhua with her. So unless you want to really optimize your scores in that mode, there is genuinely no incentive to pull for Roccia because it is so overkill. Yes, we did have a really hard wuwa rotation that one time, but that was one time, and every other time, the game mode has been fine. There is genuinely no need for the level of wuwa potential that those two together provide. I mean, if you really want that, then yes, she is good for that, but it is so overkill, thus feeling like a big waste of Astrites, when you could instead invest those pulls into another character that would do way more for your account on the whole, and upgrade your other teams that actually do need the help. Because that's the thing, Camellia just doesn't need that level of help. And sure, you can use them together in the TOA, but once again, she still remains as only being barely better than Sanhua, and in some cases, she could be even worse. Now if you get Roccia's sequences, then yes, she does definitively beat Sanhua, but at that point, you would rather get Camellia's sequences instead. There is basically always something else that you would want to pull for before you go for Roccia. I am being serious when I say that I believe that the Clown Kid is the worst limited 5-star view you could pull for in all of Wuthering Waves. I genuinely think that Yinlin without a String Master is a more valuable pull than Roccia. Because at least that Yinlin would contribute something meaningful to your account, such as unlocking casual Hyper Shangli Yao comps, which is an actual upgrade that she could offer you, but Roccia's just not really making any grand changes on your account when you get her, even if you do have Camellia. And mind you, I think that Yinlin is not worth it at all. This is not me trying to say that Yinlin is good, by the way. This is me trying to emphasize how low Roccia's pull value is on the whole. Any amount of investment that goes into the Clown Kid just feels like a waste, a Whimpering Waste even, because if you get an S1R1 Roccia, imagine everything else you could have done with that. An S1R1 Carlotta, an S1R1 Phoebe, an S1R1 Zani. You get the idea. There are far more valuable characters that would utilize that investment in a much more meaningful way, and they would feel way stronger on your account with that level of investment compared to Roccia. Her field time just remains as being too long at S0, and like I've already said, getting that S1, I mean sure, it helps, but once again, do you really need that level of investment for Whimpering? And to be honest, you can clear wuwa with traditional hypercarries as well, you just have to adjust your gameplay strategy. You know Carlotta, the esteemed Montelli lady, the lovely art investor, the one that was designed for single target encounters? You can even make her work in Whimpering Wastes. You just have to learn decent positioning and build her up well enough to the point where her death knells can take out enemy waves. Then you're fine. So if this single target-centric character is having no problem clearing wuwa, what makes you think you really need to pull for the AoE-centric character that was designed for the game mode? I'd also like to point out how it's not like the Clown Kid is the only insane option for that game mode. We have Gion as well, a character who literally just generates points by mashing buttons because of how good his grouping is. And then you have Chang Li, a character who just also feels amazing in this game mode with her excellent AoE slashes. I think one of the best way to describe Roccia's pull value is redundancy. It's just all so redundant. Is her kit decent? Sure. Will she get the job done? Also sure. She will be a completely perfectly serviceable Camellia teammate, but it's just so redundant to get her when Sanhua exists. And let me tell you now, if Sanhua wasn't a thing, then Roccia would easily be a great pull for Camellia mains. But because we do have that 4-star, who is literally free for everybody to claim not long after starting the game, there is no reason to get the Clown Kid. And okay, sure, she's capable of providing some personal damage, but that still doesn't really make up for how long her field time is. And you might be thinking to yourself, the field time isn't even that bad. Okay, but you have to consider once more that our competition is Sanhua, one of the fastest rotating characters in all of Wuthering Waves. The only character that has a shorter field time than her is Verena. And field time is a very valuable resource in this game. Very, very valuable. The Clown Kid's entire career was ended before it even began, because of a freaking free 4-star. You might feel like I'm being way too harsh on this character, but you have to consider this. A limited character in Wuthering Waves could cost you up to 160 limited pulls. Now obviously that is assuming the absolute worst case scenario luck. Most people are not going to be going to that, but you still need to consider that that is a possibility. It could cost you a whole lot of pulls to get one limited 5-star character, and those resources are limited. I have to be harsh on this character to really drive home the point that unless you really like the unit in particular, there is just no real meta-based reason to pick her up. The main reason you would want to get her is if you're the most insane Camellia simp on the planet, you are just as crazy as her, and you really want to see her perform at her absolute min-maxed top potential. So then you go out of your way to go and pick up her best in slot support, even if it's only by a couple of % at best. But if you're not a big min-maxer, then the value proposition just isn't there. Especially considering that she is running in a patch where we have had so many rerun banners. Not to mention how she's going to be running alongside some absolute meta behemoths. The Jinchi rerun banner and Carlotta rerun banner are going to be happening at the same time as Roccia's rerun. That is going to be Jinchi's second rerun at this point, and Carlotta's first rerun. And mind you, Carlotta is still one of the best DPSs in the game right now. And consider that Brent, Wuthering Waves, and Chang Li are also going to be there, two characters that are both very solid in Whimpering Wastes, especially when paired together. And then Shakona's gonna be coming out, who seems to have pretty good potential with Phoebe in Whimpering Wastes, judging by the fact that she can apply Spectral Frazzle and Multi-Wave, so you are not gonna be strapped for options. So I'm gonna flat out say it again, Roccia is a horrible pull. Now, will she ever be good? I'm gonna be honest with you, man, I really don't have that much faith in her at this point, not like I ever had any to begin with. She literally has a game mode that was made for her, and yet she still remains as the lowest value limited 5-star in all of Wuthering Waves. I feel like at that point, you are beyond saving. Now like I said, you can always get her S1 or more if you really want to improve her and make her be better, but like I also said, there's just not really a good meta-based reason to do that. Because there is just always something better that you could be investing in. Now okay, let's say hypothetically, you are a Giga Whale, you have an S6 Camellia totally maxed her out, you already have an S2 Shorekeeper, totally geared her out. Well in that case, sure, then Roccia sequences will be worth it. But do you see how niche of a scenario that is? You have to be a very high investment player in order for Roccia to be worth it. For the average player, she's basically doing nothing for you. Now granted, of course, if you enjoy her gameplay and you really do like the character Roccia, then don't let this deter you from getting her. If she's your favorite Wuthering Waves character, go ahead. She will still be serviceable at the end of the day. And like I said earlier, I've been very harsh on her because I really wanted to drive home the point that I just don't think she's worth it from a meta standpoint. That doesn't mean that she is absolutely unusable. You will still 100% get use out of her, and she will still clear all endgame content. It's just relative to the other limited 5-stars that we have in this game, she's not really all that valuable. Remember, even some of the worst characters in this game can still clear. I will admit, at least you have some reason to get her these days, considering that you can min-max in wuwa, but I just don't really think that's something that most people are interested in. So personally, I would just hold on to your Astrites or spend them on another banner that's going to be running at the same time. But how do you feel about all of this? Are you going to get Roccia anyway, or do you plan to skip her? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week, every week on Saturdays, to from 3 PM UK time. Come along so we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you why Roccia is still a disastrous pull. This has been Juice, signing out, and I guess she really is a clown. Because her pull value is the whole circus.